from Vintage Lace Journal, and welcome back to my channel. I'd also like to say a massive big hello guys, hello crafty hellos, to all the new subscribers that have subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much, I really appreciate all your support. Don't forget to like a video and click and subscribe if you want to see more of my content. So as promised today, I'm going to carry on with my gardening book theme. And I'm going to make a journal. Now, the only trouble I've had with this is the images from these books are all beautiful. As you can see, I've been folding to try and get the best images. Obviously, as soon as you fold an image in half, you lose the either direction it's going in, or it's upside down when you go to the other side of the page. So I've come up with a solution to this, and I've been trimming down the white edges off these pages, and actually where the white part of this is, where it joined in the book, so if I just open up my book, they all have this kind of like white border. I've kept that left hand border on, and my theory behind this is I'm scored at, it worked out to 3/4 of an inch. I'm then going to use some wet glue and glue that tab down. Now I should be able to get 2 signatures doing it this way. So as you can see, I've got my first book page there. I'm then just going to come on with my second one, making sure that they both come up to there. And that way I can still keep the full width of the image, because you can see there's 2 absolutely stunning images. If you start folding, you just lose half of it. So obviously now I've done that, I can put a tuck spot in here or a pocket, and you don't lose as much of the image. Just going to wait for that to dry. I'm also going to be adding some other junk journaling pieces. I've got tea stained doilies, coffee dyed paper, I've got grid paper, I've got normal coffee dyed paper, and some squares. I might actually add some of this packaging. It's fairly flimsy though, so I won't actually add that as a page. Also what I might add as well is I've got some brown manila envelopes, and they make nice places to put your journaling cards in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go round, obviously collected all of these book pages out. I've already pulled them out. Also, I went through and cut all the words out. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be using all of these. I might just use the word garden, so I'll trim that one down. I might just use the word roses and so on. So I've got lots of words, lots of images. What I'm going to do now off camera is just to carry on this process I've just started, which is to cut the white border off and then score down the edge. Once I've done that, I'm going to come back onto camera and I'm going to go through the process of how I will put my pages together. So I'll be back shortly. So I've cut down all the pages I want. I've also got lots of little bits I can make pockets with, belly bands, tuck spots, hidden paper clips are there, and then all the words I've decided I'm going to use are here. So as you can see, on all of the pages I have scored at 3/4 of an inch from the edge of the page, which will put all these borders together. So now I've got this here, I'm going to decide what kind of order to do them, because some pages are smaller, some pages are larger. These ones I want to keep together because actually it's a gardener's calendar, and it goes through early spring, mid-spring, summer, and so on. So I thought actually, even if you wanted to cover those bit up, the border around the edge of those is absolutely beautiful. So they are going to be kept together. So I'm going to have them near the back of the journal. I've also got in here, like I said, that was one of the pages from the front. It's just like a plain colour paper, because obviously I can stencil onto that. Got some brown paper there, some other coffee dyed papers there. And this was the front of the book, and I think I might use this as part of my front cover, so I'm just going to put that to one side as well. This one was quite a nice one. It's Colour Creations, and obviously that was a page I started to fold in half, but it's fine as it is. I could almost tuck that into a pocket. So I'm going to put these ones at the very back, and then I'm going to have some grid paper before there, and then I'm just going to start putting these in some form of order. Well, I say order, there's no order to it at all. So I'm going to split larger pages. I'm going to have that near the front because it's got contents on it, which I thought was quite a good play on words. Beautiful pink one. And some more coffee dyed paper. And a smaller one. Just kind of mixing the images up. So there we go. No rhyme nor reason. It's just a mixture of shallower cut pages, coffee dyed pages, and so on. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to start with the back pages because these are the biggest ones. Keeping those in order, I'm just going to turn them over, so I'm pulling from the right side. And all I'm going to do now, which I will fast forward, is take my wet glue and just glue down all of my 3/4 inch spines. So I just show you what I mean on the first one. So where I scored that line, just pop the wet glue down, lay it on top of the next score, and just give that a couple of seconds just to take, just making sure it's completely lined up all the way down. And it doesn't matter if there's any bits on the edge sticking out because I'm going to actually cover this with a journal cover anyway. Again, just keep checking that they do line up. Okay, so I'm just going to do this with the rest of the papers. So there I have my finished stuck page together, and if I flip through you can see how our journal is taking place. It's quite a large journal, but obviously these pages are where we'll have some of these images go in, and our tags and things that we made earlier on will go in as well. I'm just going to leave this to dry now. I'm just going to put that to one side, and I'm just going to bring in some trusty Amazon packaging. So this is one of the large packages. It's kind of like A3 size, I would imagine. It measures 10 inches by probably about 13-14 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this here, because this is where our pages are going to sit, and I'm just going to mark off with pencil, she says, where I would like my cover to be going in. So obviously it's going to go in here, so I'm going to roughly trim off just a little bit before, above it, and a little bit taking off that edge there, and coming down roughly about here. Let's bring in my trimmer. Now, because Amazon packaging is obviously quite thick, it will take me a couple of goes to go through this. So line that up. Again, line up again, and just trim that second part off, and then do the same with the bottom part. So lining that up, just trim that bit with scissors. And I've cut off the bit I needed. Always clever when trimming. And that's going to go to back there. Now this is going to be covered anyway, so it doesn't really matter if there's bits and pieces we don't need. For example, this piece of card here, which is the tear part. I'm just going to pull that off because it makes it thicker. And just zoom that out. There is the cover for my journal. So that would go inside here, like so. I might just have to trim that down a little bit, just because I've cut that a bit short. I'll do that with a knife in a little while. Nope, fits fine. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about covering the outside of this journal, and there's two things I kept. One of them was the actual gardening book cover, which I thought was quite a nice addition, and the other one was the insert. So I'm not quite sure which I'm going to use first. This one's quite white. I might see if I can coffee dye that to go around here and just trim it so there's a border. I'm not sure which, or I might have one on the front and then one on the back. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep this to one side so that dries nice and flat, and I'm going to have a think about what to do with the outside of this cover. So I have decided to use some white gesso. I'm going to use this image on the front cover because it was the actual cover of the book, and I found this lovely pink lace that I'm going to actually use to scrunch down the side of the cover here. So first of all, where the cover's not going to be, I'm just going to leave a tiny little gap there. I'm just going to mark where I need the gesso to go so I don't have to cover the whole thing in pencil. Do you know what? I am terrible at putting things down and not finding them. Should have more than one pencil lying around. Right, so I'm going to mark just here and here and just on here. So that's going to show me where roughly I need to put the white gesso paint. So I'm going to go straight onto my paintbrush with this and just give a very, very light coat. So put it on and then just move it around with the paintbrush. Shouldn't really be doing this on my scoring board. Just going to move that out of the way. I end up having paint of them. It will wipe off, it's only gesso, but it should be more of a tidy crafter, if there is such thing as a tidy crafter. So it's just to here. And again, I'm not looking for full white coverage, I'm just wanting to take the brown cardboard look away. White gesso's got so many fab uses. If you're ever not sure how to use it, just Google it. I did a test piece here and it dried whitish, but obviously you can still see the brown behind it. Like up here, now it's started to dry, you can see where the barcode's now coming through. So it's not going to be a solid white colour, so don't panic thinking I've done the cover white. There we go. And obviously that will then stick on here, making sure that I have covered that barcode up. There's nothing else on the front cover that I really need to cover up. So I'm just going to go back in with the wet glue, just making sure to get the edges, because there are the things that will always lift first. Just making sure that is straight. Really like that look. So that's the front cover done. I'm going to let this dry now because obviously it's got wet gesso on it, and then I'm going to come back and show you how I'm going to decorate the front and then how I'm going to decorate the insides and the back. So now I'm going to think about actually scoring the outside of my cover, because obviously where this sits in, and we've created this kind of spine with our 3/4 of an inch width here, obviously we need to do the same for the outside cover. So obviously when that opens up, this will open up with them. Now I'm going to butt it up to the inside and then measure where are, because when these have come together it's made it a little bit wider than it is. So I'm actually going to score 7/8 of an inch. So I'm going to butt this edge up where the join is in the middle first of all, and score down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7/8 of an inch. Just making sure that stays buttered up there. And give that a really good score. Okay, that's my first one. And then actually where the natural fold is on the front of this, where the cardboard comes, it's actually folding there anyway, which is quite handy. Just to make sure that is enough. It is roughly 7/8 of an inch. Okay. I will glue this, but I'm not just going to rely on glue, because I don't think, because this is actually quite weighty, I'm actually going to punch some holes through this, hopefully. Using my hole punch. And then tie it in with a couple of ribbons on the outside, just for extra security. This is the first time I've ever done a journal like this, so I am kind of making it up as I go along. Okay, so this is 11.5 inches. So I'm going to move it. I'm going to do 3 inches from the bottom. I do need my pencil. I don't really want to mark this. I can rub a pencil mark out. So it's worthwhile taking your time for this kind of part, because it's going to bind your journal together. So 3 inches from the bottom and 3 inches from the top. Okay. So 3 inches from the bottom and 3 inches from the top. I'm just going to fold this way around, just so I've got my holes in the same place, top and bottom. There we go. This is probably going to take a couple of attempts to get through. These are actually for leather and jean setting, so they are very sharp. Fingers crossed. Lovely, lines up perfectly. Okay, so I'm going to glue this down to start off with. No, I'm not. Before I glue down, I'm just going to finish doing my covers inside and out. So on the outside, obviously I said I've done it in white gesso. I did the same in the back, and I just found another couple of images from the book. So I'm going to do the same principle of just trimming around the edge, and I'm just going to stick that down as it is because it's a nice beautiful white colour. So I'm going to do that for the back cover. And on the inside cover, again, I've got some images that I'm just going to simply stick. Now on the inside cover, there is some white gesso paint that obviously comes around here. So again, I'm going to go around with a gesso, white gesso, just to cover that up. And so these beautiful pages can just stick in. So I'm going to go off camera and do that before I then bind the inside in. So here we've got two so far. So my front cover has the front cover of the book, which was the inside cover. And obviously I've done the white gesso around here. Then on the inside cover, I've taken the colour all year round book cover again. And I just inked green around the edges to stand out from the white. And the back cover, the back inside cover, I've used just another image from the book. Just stuck that on again, inking around the edges. And then I've done the same for the back cover. So what I'm going to do now is on the front cover, like I said, I've got this lovely pink lace. So I'm going to use this with a hot glue gun. And I'm just going to put some glue down the edge here. Now, obviously, I need to remember that our fold is there. And obviously the holes where I'm going to glue this in. It doesn't matter that that's going to be there. What I might do first is just glue the inside cover in. So we have got all our lovely journal and pages here. So what I'm going to do is I'm using hot glue gun because I know that this will stick better. So I'm just going to put some hot glue as a bead on this part here. And then lining up the holes, stick that down straight away, making sure that that cover is going to be okay there. And just give that a really good stick. And then I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. So, bead of glue. Like that. And then close again, lining up those holes. And again, just hold that down so it gets a really firm stick. Because this is obviously quite thick, it needs that to hold. Okay, so there we can see that's bound that journal together beautifully. I'm really happy with that. Really, really pleased. So when you do the lace gluing, have your lace ready to go. And what I do is, if I just demonstrate this as I go along, I just have this piece of paper to hand to pop my glue gun back down on. Just do a small part at a time. So I'm going to go in between the holes and the picture and just do a small bead of glue. Lay down your lace and then scrunch it up on the glue as you go down. And that causes this kind of ruffle effect. Okay, let's do that again. So where I last left off, glue straight down, put the lace on top and then squish into the glue. It's better to do short sections at a time because obviously hot glue does dry quite quickly. Again, making sure that's staying central. do this last bit in 2 pieces. So lay it down, squish it in. And when you're happy with your ruffles, I'm just going to do that last bit again because it's not quite gone. You do get hot glue on your fingers, but it doesn't hurt because you're going through the lace. It's quite cool by that point. Tiny bit there for that last little ruffle. And any glue strands that you've got will just peel off. That's actually a piece of lace. Okay, and then once that's glued down, I'm happy. Just cut the excess off. There we go. So, I'm going to get this glue off my fingers quickly. That's the outside cover. What I think I might do, just to tie this in, is with a very, very pale ink. So I got this Sweetie Pie chalk ink. I am just going to go around the edge of this in a pink. So, just find my pink end. These are so good. These, if you've bought these ones, I use these for inking all the time, because you take that head off and pop that head on. So just going to get a test piece first. Always good to test. See, that bit's got a bit of darkness on it, so I need to just make sure I've got just the pink. So I'm happy with that colour. So just go around the edge, just a tiny little bit, just to lift that colour and tie that pink in. And because it's got the white gesso on there, that pink ink will take really well. And then just down the edge of the spine as well. And there we go. I just lifted that edge up to match in with the pink of the lace. Somebody asked me on my comments as well about what do we do about shiny images. Now, I personally, I just think, because I know it's a book, they're like photographs to me. I don't mind it being shiny. It's only really shiny because obviously I've got my light shining down. When it's in natural light like this, you don't get the glare from it. So I actually think it's really beautiful just the way it is. If you do want to take the shine off photographs, you can use a gesso. It's called a matte medium. It's by Pebo as well, and you can go over all of images in that. But like I said, I just think these images are so beautiful as they are. I don't mind them having that shine. Obviously the glare from the light is slightly different, but you don't get that when you see it in real life. So this is worked out better than I could imagine. So the next thing I'm going to do with my journal is I am going to go through it and I'm going to start to decorate it. But for today, I'm going to leave that video there, and in my next video, I will go through with you and add all those tuck spots and belly bands and pockets into this journal. So again, thanks again for subscribing and watching. Click like, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye.